Welcome to NBA Tip-Off Tuesday edition. We are live 3 p.m. Eastern, as we are every weekday, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, live here on WagerTalk TV. This is Tuesday, August 4th, and we're just barely back into the NBA regular season on August 4th. Who would have thought? But I've got the usual suspects here with Tony Finn, Teddy Covers, Ski Prophet. Rob Vino was going to join us, but he got wiped out by the tropical storm, which I cannot pronounce. I got hit by it last night, guys, and I thought it was Isaiah or Zezis. It's like Izias. Strange. Teddy, it's bad when you have a lot of I's. We got hit by Isabel in 2003. It's the worst I've ever had here in Virginia. Now another I hits us. Not a lot of good I's. Isaac was a couple years ago. They're running out of names here, so they might have to rethink that retirement system for the I letters. But Rob Vino, by the way, guys, before I forget, $2 Tuesday, and Rob is the featured capper. He got the plays up before the power went out. So go to Wager Talk right now, guys. $2 Tuesday, Rob Vino. And to plug myself, Steve Merrill, there is a special code inside Rob's pick where you get my 5% at a discount. I've got a strong 5%, my first 5% best bet on Wager Talk, and it comes in the NBA tonight. And you get a discount on that 5% best bet for myself when you get Rob Vino's $2 play. So basically, you're saving money on my play, getting Rob's for free because you're getting more than a $2 discount. Just tremendous value. Teddy, you're a guest of honor yesterday. We got you back again today. I'll start with you. What do you got up at Wager Talk today on Tuesday, and how'd you do last night on Monday?
We had a good night last night. No complaints whatsoever. Had the Spurs, who were a bit of a sweat, but down the stretch in the fourth quarter, they were just fine. No complaints with that. So the clients were happy last night. Won in baseball as well. Don't buy any plays today. I would encourage. Seriously, don't buy any plays. There's a special right now. If you just type in week 69 at checkout, you're going to get the whole week for $69. And if you buy one play normally, it's what, $25. You buy a 5%er, it's $40. Get every play that whoever you want releases for the whole week for $69. Again, that's with the code week 69 at checkout. I got to talk about your hurricanes and all this stuff. When you live in Vegas, you don't worry about any of that. Okay. Yeah. We don't have earthquakes. You don't have tornadoes. You don't have hurricanes. We have 2 months in the summer where you don't want to go outside at any point, day or night. But we don't deal with the other elements.
We do have earthquakes, so.
No, we don't. We don't have big earthquakes. We have little rumblers, but we don't. I've been out here for 22 years, and one time have I felt an earthquake. And when I felt that nothing fell off the shelves. It's not like you're living in
last year. I thought somebody was shaking my car. I was in the road, and I looked behind me. There's no cars. I said, "What kind of prank is this? My car's shaking." And I called my buddies in front of me. And he said, "That's the earthquake." There it is.
Tony, how long have you been in Vegas?
I've worked here for 18 years, but I've only lived here 5 years. My wife wanted the kids to be going to the school district they grew up in was a good school district, and she was right. It worked out pretty well for them. They can actually put two and two together.
Teddy, I remember I was out there one summer and it rained. It was like one of only 2 times it rained that whole month, I think, because I'm always out there in damn July like an idiot when it is the time you don't want to be going outside. But I think like 1 or 2 inches of rain washed out half the streets for a couple hours, but then it was completely dry hours later. But we got like 5 inches of rain here in like a 12-hour span last night. That would have literally Vegas would be swimming right now. I think if that happened to them.
We got an inch of rain in an hour. The one time and everything flash flooded.
Right, exactly.
That was 99, summer of 99. But that's the only big flash flood we've had the whole time I've been out here. I mean, for natural disasters, Vegas, there's worse places to be than Las Vegas.
Yes, you're right about that. You're right.
You're safer here than you are elsewhere.
Ski Prophet, where are you coming from us today? Where are you located?
Post office.
I'm in Vegas, but I don't know anything about those other natural disasters. I'm with Teddy. I'm from LA. We don't get any of that stuff. So,
well, I do have a theory that LA is going to have an earthquake one day, which goes exactly down the border of Nevada and California, and California is just going to float off into Pacific and kind of join Hawaii at one point. So,
if that's true, we need to buy some property right there on the edge of Nevada.
Pahrump, man, Pahrump will be beachside.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. You guys will be oceanfront, and we'll have the independent nation of California finally, like they've kind of wanted for years anyway. So it might all work out for everybody. Hey, Tony, what do you got going on today at WagerTalk.com? How'd you do on Monday?
I actually I went 3-0 with baseball. It was my biggest card, my largest card, and I swept it, fortunately. And I have 2 baseball today, and I have 1 NBA, which I'm sure is opposite of Teddy because it was last time. I'm sure he has 2 NBA and 1 baseball.
Buy them both. You can't lose.
We're on opposite sides of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed no-lose situation, right?
So yesterday was a great day. Let's keep that going, and I like the plays today. So I'm sure they'll be much tougher. Yesterday's were relatively easy to save one game. So I kind of like that. I needed that break.
Ski, how'd you do yesterday on Monday? We'll get to the in-show wagers here in a second, but what about your best bets on Monday? What do you got today on Tuesday?
Monday, I had the Pelicans. That one was a good one. The Jazz and Lakers under, I lost on that one. And I had a very tough one that I lost on that Chris Paul free throw with the under.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's nothing worse when there's 200 and some points scored and it comes down to a basket or a free throw. And it's amazing how sharp these lines are. I mean, you think about it, guys. NFL teasers are 6 points? Basketball teasers are 4 points. They score 200 and some points. So it just shows how valuable just every single point in basket is. In the
but it also shows why you should never play NBA teasers.
Yeah, I was just gonna. Yeah, right as I was saying that, Teddy, I was going to say not that exactly 4 points is fair, but I'll just say that.
Back in the day, again, this is an ancient story, but in the mid '90s, I was a bookie in Ann Arbor, and we knew that football teasers were 6 points. Mm-hmm. For an entire season, we gave basketball bettors 6-point teasers,
and you still won.
Okay, it wasn't until the next year that either one of us, it was me and my partner, the next summer we flew out to Vegas for the first time and found out that we were only supposed to give him 4 points. But over the course of that season where we gave everyone 6 points and we gave everyone 2 extra points for free on teasers, you know how many people beat us? 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lines – well, one thing to keep in mind, Ted, in the early 90s, as you know, the lines were softer back then too, so the points were less valuable. But even today with the sharpest lines we've ever seen, 4 is still not enough.
I don't know any serious bettor that plays NBA.
I've in my 25-year career, I've never even looked at a basketball teaser. I mean, I just haven't even looked at them. They're not even on my radar. And by the way, it transitions well to another show we all appear on. Is MLB First Pitch. Matt Joseph, Dave Koken, and I did the Sunday episode, and we actually have a good amount of talk about parlays. So I recommend any new bettors, any new viewers that are joining us that want kind of a 101 on why you basically should not play parlays. And keep in mind, a teaser is a parlay. It's just you're getting extra points. You got to win all the plays, though. And Dave does say, NFL teasers, and I agreed with him. NFL teasers, because of the key numbers, are the one sport in which you can technically play a parlay, which is a teaser, and be okay. But yeah, and Teddy, you've got some great 101 videos as well on WagerTalk TV that covers a lot of these topics. And hey, look, if you're a new viewer out there, join us in the chat. Don't be afraid to ask a question here. I mean, we've got, among the three of us, we have almost a century of experience, over 20 plus years from many of the cappers on WagerTalk.com that are on these shows as well. And as Teddy said, in his whole career and mine, both going back to the early 90s, we've never even considered a basketball teaser. So here on NBA Tip-Off, stay away from the teasers, and really no reason to do a parlay. One thing I'll say real quick is I mentioned on the show Sunday that the only other time a parlay makes sense other than NFL teaser is when the sides and totals are correlated. You don't really see that too much in the NBA. You can make an argument if you really like a team that has to play fast, maybe. Teddy, do you ever see situations like that in the NBA?
So I'm a different because there is a legitimate vulnerability for the sports books when it comes to parlays, and that's underdogs on the money line.
Yes.
All right. And if you want to say, how am I going to make a score? How am I going to turn $100 into $100,000?
Right, a big payday, yeah.
Or whatever, $100 into $10,000, whatever it is. That is theoretically doable with underdog money line parlays. You have to have that perfect day, that magic day. But if you have that magic day, you can turn a little bit into a lot in a hurry with money line parlays, underdogs, because your payouts are, if you get a 3-teamer, you're not getting paid 6-1. You're oftentimes getting paid, 30-1 on those, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have one of those days, and we've already had one in the NBA, where there's dogs cashing, woof, woof, and dogs winning, when you have one of those days, you can really clean up. So there is a legitimate vulnerability. And if you talk to sportsbook directors around town, they'll tell you this, they're not worried about this, we're not worried about that. They are worried about underdog moneyline parlays because they can all of a sudden face a big loss off just a handful of games.
Well, and I mean, the key to winning in sports betting ahead of anything else is money management and risk management, whether it's the financial markets, the sports betting markets. You have to live to fight another day. And the analogy I always use is that money management trumps everything. You could go 99-1, and if you're betting 100% of your bankroll on every play, you still go broke.
Yep.
So, it's an absurd example, but it shows why picking winners, line value are second and third. Really, line value is second, picking winners is third, as I tell people. But, money management's the key. And an underdog parlay is not a bad risk-reward money management move. What's ironic, though, guys, is that, and the reason this came up on the baseball show is because a lot of the viewers are asking about parlaying big favorites, Yankees-Dodgers, 2 -300 favorites. So isn't it ironic that where Teddy's saying is to do the underdogs, yet most of the general public looks to do big favorites, the exact opposite. And as I tell people, you're not changing the math in that situation. It is what it is. The only thing I will say about that, it is a little bit better from a money management perspective because you're risking less, but you're not changing the math still. And one quick side note, another show tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, I'll do the NASCAR show with Andy Lang, Rocky Atkinson. Andy last week as a golf handicapper, he'd had a 3-0 sweep the week before. He'd been kind of choppy this year, and he had 4 underdogs last week for his golf best bets. He says the first time ever he had done that, and he recommended, hey, look, put a little bit on a 4-team, money line parlay. And I agreed with him because he felt like he was getting hot. He really liked the card. And once again, I was like, this isn't a full unit. You play a full unit on each play, and then you sprinkle 1/10, 1/20th on that underdog parlay, but it would have paid 20 to 1 had it hit with those 4 golf underdogs. So that's what Teddy's talking about. And I'll transition it back to the NBA guys. With the uncertainty of some of these games coming up over the next week, we could have some situations where the dogs have value, if the odds makers are off on these lines. Before we get to today's games, though, Ski, we got to get to last night's results once again. We had some intense in-show wagering, not in-game wagering, in-show wagering. What do we have? Memphis. So I guess you lost that one, but you won.
Ski won everything.
Oh, Ski. No, you had Memphis, guys, didn't you?
Me and Tony had Memphis.
You're right. And Memphis lost by 10.
New Orleans.
Yeah. My bad, Ski. I was throwing you under the bus with a perfect sweep. Yeah, no, Ski had the favorite in both games. You guys, I'm so confused because the odds were so different than what the market had. I mean, Ski got the Lakers at pick'em even money. Still wishing I could have gotten in on that action. And then he actually gave a bad line. That's why I was confused. You gave a bad line. You gave 6 to Tony and Teddy when it was only 5, but they won by 10. Ski profit, really a 3-0 sweep. You won back-to-back on that one, and then you won the nightcap. So you're going to let it ride today. That's what I have to know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm sure we'll disagree on something.
Blind Skis find an acorn every once in a while.
He found several acorns. He got enough for the winner yesterday. Luckily, we're at the $20 limits. I mean, we know we predicted we were going to get to the
$20 limits. It's not the money. This is. I would gladly pay $100 not to be ridiculed by Ski, or smiled at. And I know what the smile's about. I know what it's about. Yeah.
Well, you're going to have
to give me $100. I won't smile at you.
Fighting words.
Well, the cost is now $160 because you're down 60 to Ski on. Actually, no, that's not true. You're down 40.
Yes.
So Ski had 2 with you, 1 with Teddy. But hey, we'll get to that at the end of the show. I think that's a fun little segment. I'm going to let you guys go at it again. So as we go through these games, you guys determine if you speak up if you disagree with each other, and we can have another Wager Talk NBA tip-off in-show live action. There we go. So once again on the blind, he's letting you pick, Ski.
I disagree.
He basically says, circle the team, he'll take the other side. Boy,
it's a daily thing. We'll keep it going.
Them is fighting words right there. I love it. Hey, WagerTalk.com. Teddy, I'm glad you brought up that promo. $69 for the week. It's normally $119 for a 7-day package, and that's all sports. Football. Oh, no football. Baseball, basketball, hockey. It's August. We should have football right now. That's the bad news. We don't have football like we should. The good news is we have hockey and basketball still, and we, of course, have baseball as we normally would. WagerTalk.com. Rob Vino not with us today. He'll be back hopefully tomorrow on Wednesday. Rob is the $2 Tuesday featured capper. So if you're not quite ready for that $69 weekly package, I don't know how you couldn't be, but if you're not quite ready, $2 gets you Rob's plays today. And there's also a special promo code inside Rob's $2 package, which gets you my 5% best bet, my first of the season at wagertalk.com for a special discounted price. So just a fantastic value. Get $2 Tuesday, get my 5%er, get all of these guys with that $69 weekly special. And Teddy, what is it again? Is it week 69 or 69 week? Week 69.
Week 69.
Week
Worth
69.
noting, right now, I'm seeing the Nets up by 8 over the Bucks, and I got the Kings up by 10 over the Mavericks.
Yeah, jump right into those. I wanted to get to the 2 games before we got to the rest. So any thoughts on those in game?
Just real quick. The concept here, a 2-team money line parlay with the Nets and the Kings at widely available. I'm not even giving the best number. At widely available numbers, 47 to 1 on a 2-teamer.
Yeah, well, I mean, what were the Nets? Were a 19-point underdog, right?
Yeah, they were plus 1,500.
Wow.
If you shopped around, you can find plus 1,700.
And they've won every quarter so far.
Plus 200. You shopped around, you can find plus as high as plus 230.
I mean, that's what you said, Teddy. Like I said earlier, I mean, with the uncertainty of these games, and I think we're going to have more uncertainty over the next week as we get closer to the playoffs games. Teams are locked in, start resting guys. I think there's some money line underdogs are going to pay off. We're going to see it.
Sure. And you're going to lose most of them. You're going to lose the vast majority of bets that you make on the underdog money line parlay. I keep a separate bankroll specifically for that because I know it's going to be lose, huge score, lose. That's just how it works. And if you're sucking that out of your regular bankroll every day, but every week in college football, I make a money line underdog money line parlay, and I do it. I'm not going to say every day in the NBA, but I do it. I would say at least once a week in the NBA. I'm finding 3 or 4 dogs that I think are going to win, and I'll round robin them together in a money line parlay.
Teddy, how often do you actually have a single play on those? Of those 4 dogs, are you using maybe one of them as an actual bet, or using most of them?
1 or 2.
Yeah, so they're not even necessarily games that you would play as a normal 1 unit like best bet with your regular bank.
This is me score chasing.
Yeah, and what's cool about that too is I love the separate bankroll concept. I love that because once again, it's not only money management, but the other key to winning long term is emotional discipline and really not going on tilt. Not over betting. That's what kills the amateurs. They'll go 3-1 and they'll lose on the day because they overbet one game or they chase on Sunday Night Football. Back when you were a bookmaker in the early 90s, you only had Monday Night Football. Can you imagine, Teddy, if you did Sunday Night Football as well? You would have doubled your profits for the year probably.
Monday Night Football was just fine.
Yeah. It's now Now it's Sunday night. The world has changed.
Yeah. Back in the day, we the public would consistently lose.
And just that you probably saw guys who were $100 bettors playing 500 all of a sudden when they were down.
What's your double or nothing night? Yeah, sure.
Right. But what's funny is you didn't see guys doing it the other way. Once again, we talk about underdog money line parlays. Most people play big favorites, which is the exact opposite. Most people didn't play big on Monday night when they were up for the week. It was the other way around.
And the whole concept is a double or nothing game. It means you're losing, which means this isn't a week where you're seeing things clearly. Right. And what do we tell people all the time? You're allowed to up your unit sizes. You up your unit sizes when you're hot and you're seeing things clearly. And people up their unit sizes when they're getting their pounded and they're not seeing anything clearly and they're not making good decisions. And that's when they decide, I'm in a hole. Let's triple up my wager size or quadruple up my wager size. That's not when you raise your bet size, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, money management is the key long term. I love the separate bankroll though, and if viewers, if you have questions about this, chime in on the chat. We'll be glad to help you. I'm glad you brought up the live games. Ski, anything you're looking at in these 2 early games? Nets right now up by only 4, but they were a 19-point dog over the Bucks. And we talked about the Bucks. The Bucks are locked into the 1 basically. So, boy, laying 19 with Milwaukee at any point, a little strange to me. But Dallas was a 6-point favorite. And as Teddy mentioned there, the dog is winning out right there. Sacramento is up by 8 early in the second quarter, now up by a 9, actually. Ski, anything in those 2 games that caught your fancy or anything that you're looking at in-game?
Not necessarily. If I had to just pick something, I'm not sure what the live line is on the spread for the Bucks, but if they win this game, they clinch the number 1 in the East, right? So they should probably find some kind of motivation in the fourth quarter to come out and win by maybe a few points.
Yeah, they're down by 2 now with 4 minutes to go in the third. They've outscored them by 6 here in the third quarter.
I'm seeing the live line there, Milwaukee minus 5.5 still for the game.
So that's 7.5 from here. Then interesting. That seems reasonable. That actually, I'll tell you right now, if you have Brooklyn, that's probably not a bad hedge because that seems reasonable to me. Tony,
you don't hold it.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
don't turn a winner into a push.
Yeah, that's true. No, you're right. I mean, disregard that. I forgot I'm not involved in these games, so I didn't look at them that closely. I forgot they're a 19-point dog. Yeah, no, they're covering by 21 right now. Disregard that. Speaking of other shows, last week, I believe it was, it might have been on the NBA show here, guys. We talked about hedging and when you should and when you shouldn't. And I said basically you only hedge if you like the new bet. I mean, and I do think Milwaukee minus 7.5 is not a bad bet. That's the only reason it came to mind. But you're right, Teddy. I mean, it's a 99% winner right now with plus 19. Tony, anything on these 2 games going on now?
I hedge if I have free money coming.
It was your over under. Yeah, not to interrupt you. It was your over under Thursday. That's right.
That wasn't free money.
Tony had played over 220 in a game earlier in the month. Yeah. And which game was that, Tony? Was that Thursday night game?
It was New Orleans and
you could hedge it under 228. Yeah, we talked. Right. That's what it was. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I thought it was Thursday.
I did hedge the whole thing. I just basically it took me. I got me off the game because I was a loser. It's one of those games where how the hell it didn't go over, I don't know. Much like the Dallas Suns game where they needed 102 points in the second half. They put 130 in the first half, and they scored less than 50 in the fourth quarter. So that's it. These first two games, I contemplated. I liked the Mavericks and the Kings over the total. I liked the number in that game, and people kept talking to me all night last night, sitting around the table saying, "No, this Kings team is just miserable." I said, "Well, they just can't defend." And right now, guess what? 9 minutes to go, and Mavericks have a total of 34 points. The Kings have 42. Long way to go. But at this point in time, the end game might be something I jump on. We'll see how it goes here as we're discussing games.
Yeah, and I always say, tired legs doesn't hurt the offense with these guys. It just, I think, leads to more of what I always say, a playground mentality, a playground style of basketball. And if you're slow of foot, you just don't play as hard on defense because you got to bring intensity to play defense. We talked about that yesterday. Defense really equals motivation or vice versa. The Kings have been a pure overplay for me. I cashed with them back on Friday night with one of my first best bets of the season in that game. So we'll keep an eye on these two games. I love, Teddy, that you brought up that money line parlay because, boy, are these textbook examples right now. By the way, the Nets have pulled up by 6 and now up by 5, and Kings up by 8. We're talking about 19 and 6-point dogs, both winning outright right now. And, Teddy, we'll start with one of the games today, but once again, what was that about? What'd you say, 41-1 it would have paid off on the money line parlay?
And that's 47-1 at widely available numbers. If you go to shop, you'll find better than that.
So, like you said, you keep a small separate bankroll. You don't need to hit many of those. By my math, you could lose 46 times and win once and still come out ahead. So, that's why I love that separate bankroll.
Usually when I'm putting round robin them together, I'm going to round robin 2-teamers, 3-teamers, 4-teamers. In college football, sometimes I'll have 6 or 7.
So Teddy, if you have 6 or 7 picks on a Saturday in college football that you're going to do with this, are you playing them all as 2s, 3s, 4? What's your cut, or how do you determine how many you want to have tied up?
I'll round robin parlay it. I mean, you do it for small size wagers.
You're talking about 2-teamers only in that situation?
No, 2-teamer, 3-teamer. This is my score chasing. This is what I do. Ever since you want your recreational bettor wants to bet a little to win a lot. All right, that's your classic example. This is my, after 22 years in Vegas, way to bet a little to win a lot.
Degenerate Tuesday.
Yeah.
1 day a week. Just be a degenerate. Yeah.
Well, I just want to as an example, because if you have 1 weekend college football where you win with these bets, you've just covered your season. If you have 2 weekends, you're going to make a bunch of money. If you have 3 weekends where you're hitting where the underdogs are coming through on the money line, you're going to have all of a sudden now you got the bankroll set all through the NBA season too. It doesn't take a lot of these wins to put you in position to make a big score, and that's why we do. Without
question.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes down once again to money management. And viewers out there, if you're just tuning in, what Teddy had said earlier is he has a separate bankroll aside from his daily 1 unit, single game plays, like the best bets he has on WagerTalk.com every day. These are just personal little money line. He's taking sometimes big dogs. He's parlaying them all together. Round robin means that if you have 4 teams, you're playing A and B, A and C, A and D, B and C, B and D. You're using all these combinations. And it's funny you say round robin because that's what you do a lot of times with exactas and horse racing. Mm-hmm. And when you said that analogy of one little, small little wagers for one big payday, right away I thought of horse racing. And the pros I know, especially in Vegas, that do horse racing full time, they're not playing win, play, show every day. That's not what their bread and butter is.
No, it's all about pick sixes and the big jackpots.
Yeah. And you talk about losing by a nose. Guys have $1 tickets that pay 30, 60,000 and they lose by a nose. So you better emotionally realize it's a long-term grind. And like Teddy says, you win 3 out of 4 of these teams and then one loses at the buzzer and you miss your parlay, So
that's why you're round robbing them. So your 2-teamers and your 3-teamers come in. So even if the one doesn't come in, you're still making a nice profit for the day.
It's a long-term outlook, and it's all about money management and having a little side account. And it goes back to something I have in my money management article from 20 years ago. It's what I call a fun bet. If you want to play Monday Night Football, if you don't have an opinion, play 10% of what you normally would play. Not a 10% play, 1/10 of a normal play.
Pizza bets, we call them. Yeah.
Pizza bets. I like that. I've always called them fun bets, but I'm going to have to add this money line parlay to the fun bet account because I love that concept. Ski, I'll tell you what, we got one daytime game that goes in about a half hour. We got those 2 games in session like we talked about. Any thoughts, Ski, on the Clippers and Suns? Right now I'm seeing the Clippers about an 8.5-point favorite. Total's around 230 in that one.
Yeah, Lou Will's supposed to play limited minutes in this one. I think the Clippers don't really care so much about this game. Lakers already locked up the 1 seed, right? What more do Clippers have to play for? I would think to take the points with Phoenix. Phoenix has already looked pretty good so far. Why shouldn't they be able to keep it close versus a team who shouldn't necessarily care about this game? So I would grab the 8.5 points.
And then on top of that, Ski, the Clippers could still win the game, and you have an 8.5 point chance that you still get the cover. So, it's like you're talking about a team that might not even care about winning, doesn't need to win. And then on top of that, you're asking them to basically win by 9 points or more. Tony, what are your thoughts on this one? It goes off in about a half hour, Suns and Clippers.
I looked at this game pretty hard. Because I want that 9 points. I wanted the 9 points pretty badly. I agree. I think the Clippers are going to be trying to, I think as Teddy said, they're going to try to get better. Doesn't mean they're going to try to win. I actually liked with Lou Williams back here. I also like the total going over in this game as well. Especially if the Clippers are not interested in winning. I think if this is going to be about certain rotations and giving Lou some time to play now. He hadn't played in how long, I don't know. I don't know what kind of condition, how many minutes he can go, but I expect him to go out there. And he had a pretty good year. He's a pretty good tough matchup for the Suns. I think he averaged about 20 a game or 16 or 20 a game against them this season in the 2 games they played. I think that's what it was. But if I'm going to lean here, I'm going to lean to the over.
Yeah, Clippers have 6 games left. The Lakers have 5 games left. The Lakers are up by 6 with 5 remaining. So, And the Clippers, by the way, are about a game and a half ahead of the Nuggets for the 3rd spot.
Yeah.
More importantly, though, actually 2nd and 3rd means absolutely nothing because there's no home court advantage. They're now 3 games ahead of the 4th seed Rockets, 3.5 ahead of the 5th seed Jazz. So I guess, Teddy, their only motivation other than trying to get better is to make sure they don't fall to the 4th seed, I would think. What are your thoughts, Teddy?
I don't think any of these teams care at all about seeding 1 iota.
Too much math
they
for
care
them.
about the 1 seed, the 3 seed, the 7 seed. The only race is which teams are going to make the playoffs and what team's going to get in the playoff game in the West, in the play-in game in the West.
Well, let me ask you, Teddy, really quick. Who would you, if you were a player, if you were the Clippers, would you rather face Oklahoma City or Dallas? I mean, if you had a preference, what would your preference be?
I don't think they care.
Okay, I'm just saying I'd care as a gamer. I care. I would. I think there's some advantages.
Of all the bad systems there are in the NBA, and I hear this down the stretch every NBA season. They're trying to get the 3 seed.
Yeah.
And it's crap. Okay, none of the players care about getting the 3. The coach might care. The fans might care.
Exactly.
But the guys on the court do not care if they get the 3 seed, the 4 seed, the 6 seed. And in a year where there is legitimately no home court advantage, it makes no difference if you're the 2 seed or the 7 seed. All right, you avoid the Lakers in the 1st round. Great. That's a positive. So you get the Clippers instead. Like they're easy. I'm just not buying that.
Yeah, but Teddy, you bring up a point about the coach. If I'm the coach,
I think coaches.
I want to avoid the Lakers for 2 rounds if possible, and they can kind of control who plays how many minutes. So that's the only reason I bring it up. Do you think any of that applies in these situations?
None, not even a little bit. All right,
I do.
They played 2, so they still have 6 games before the playoffs start. All right, for these
today, it's tough to control it from this point.
You're telling me that the coach is going to talk about today's game and be thinking about who he's going to play in a 1st round game 3 weeks from now?
Yeah,
no.
If I'm a coach and I'm gambling, I'm not going to tell the players. I'm just going to start putting in who I want.
Exactly, Tony. Yeah, that's how I look. If I'm the coach of the Clippers here, they might win the game, but like Ski said, they're an 8.5 point favorite. I mean, they could still win and not cover. I'm not using this game today, guys, but for me, it'd be dog or nothing because if I'm the Clippers head coach, I mean, why would I play my guys 40 minutes, risk an injury, wear them out? Yes, you want to get the cohesion, but I keep thinking NFL preseason. This looks like
I'm more cynical than Teddy too. I believe all of them gamble, and I believe in some way, fashion, form, be it virtually or in reality. But
Tony, what are you saying right now?
I'm saying
I was with Tony until now.
All of them know these. I say they know the lines. I say they know the lines, and I say they know people who gamble, and I say I know I believe it affects how they play, especially like games. And you may not believe it, but I believe that.
You talking about the? Yeah, I'm with you, Tony, on this Clippers not caring. I definitely don't feel. And I love a good NBA conspiracy theory more than anybody. When the playoffs are going on, and the ABC won 7 games here, so you can't look at this team up 3-1. I mean, look, I'm always looking for a good conspiracy theory, but hey,
I'm not saying it's alien-like or anything like that. I'm saying they know, and it affects what they do.
Ski, you're going to be the tiebreaker on this, on both of these, actually, because I'm with Tony and I'm against him on that one. What are your thoughts on both these topics? Do you think some of these teams are looking for seeding at all, coaches especially? And then part B, I'll let you get to the whole betting side of it afterwards.
I disagree with Teddy. I think that it does matter. I mean, a big part of capping in playoffs for me or playing in playoffs to me is matchups. And if you can't attack any matchups in the playoffs, you're going to have a tough time winning 4 games out of the series. And like a team like the Rockets, who I think about, like they don't want to play the Clippers, where they have to have Harden and Westbrook playing against Paul George and Kawhi. Like I think matchups definitely matter. And I agree with Teddy that the coaches care about it more than the players, but I think it's still a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say too, Teddy, real quick, is I think I agree with both you guys on and off. And so, I mean, I think the players don't care about this stuff. I'm not sure they even know what I'm not sure they can do the math to figure out the seeding half the time. But I do think if I was a coach, maybe I think more than maybe because we're handicappers, we overthink it. But I mean, Teddy, I do see the coaches caring about the matchups.
I'm not saying nobody cares about the matchups. I'm saying if you don't know right now, okay, we're 2 weeks away from the playoffs. If you're saying, well, I want to be the 3 seed so I can play the 6 seed, who's the 6 seed going to be? They don't know.
No, I'm talking about avoiding the Lakers. I'm talking about avoiding the Lakers. That's all I'm saying. And they know who the 1 seed is. It's the Lakers. So I'm just talking about avoiding the 4 or 5 seed. So you want to stay 2 or 3. That's I agree with everything else.
We don't listen. We
don't. I agree with you about
we don't know
7.
who's going to get injured in football. We play futures, basically assuming, making assumptions and assessments on where a team's going to be at certain points. So I'm not saying they're right, they're wrong, or they're even doing. I'm saying I think they think about it, and I believe they do things that it affects it, and they do the best they can to get to that position. Whether they get there or not is a different story.
So one of the things that we deal with as sports bettors is I call it static. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're looking for data, you'll find data. If you're looking for trends, you'll find it. You're looking for info, you'll find info. What you're trying to do when you're breaking down games is to find the stuff that's just static and you throw it away and you focus in on what's meaningful. Yeah. Maybe there's 1 or 2 meaningful things. Denver yesterday, it doesn't matter. Everything else is static except for that the Nuggets give a shit about this game. And they did. Okay. And that's the only thing that mattered in that game was that Malone was pissed and Denver was coming to play. And everything else about the game is all just static.
Well, I didn't say that I'd throw static into my assessment or my handicapping. I'm saying I believe it happens. That's all I'm saying.
So when we're talking about trying to break down these games, okay, we're talking about the Clippers and the Suns tonight. Mm-hmm. Is it meaningful for me to look at the Clips playoff standing? It is not meaningful for me to consider that. Others may find meaning in that. For me, I will choose to look elsewhere to try to create my opinions for any given game.
I would have definitely.
We're all on the same page. No one's laying with the Clips did.
Yeah.
Tony, you got to let me talk. I let you talk. Please let me talk.
I'm sorry.
We're all on the same page here with no one wants to lay with the Clips. It's Phoenix or pass. But if I'm going to say I'm betting the Suns, it's not going to be because the Clips because of any seeding issues with the Clippers. It's because of me. Hey, the Clips hit 25 threes last time out, and they're not going to shoot that well from 3 right now. And maybe Phoenix is an undervalued commodity right here in a bet-on team. It's not going to be, well, the Clips are worried about their playoff positioning 2 weeks from now.
I agree with that.
In my mind, that is static and not something we can use to actually win on today's game. And that's why I'm trying to, I'm not trying to rip Tony, except for yap while other people are talking. It's an issue of what is meaningful that will help us find winners, and everything else you got to just chuck it in the garbage.
Well, to interrupt you, I'm said I agree with you, Teddy. You're right about that. Completely, 100% right.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Tony, I think we're all kind of more on the same page than we realize. Tony and I are both saying we're worried about the motivation of the Clippers, and for me, that's just a filter. That's one of the many handicapping filters I use on any game. And like you're saying, Teddy, it's enough to keep you off the Clippers. It's not a reason to play the Suns, but if you were maybe looking at the Clippers with 2 or 3 edges, you'll say, wait, they have a matchup edge here, this or that. Yet I'm worried they might not care about this game. Then maybe we pass still. So, I mean, it's all parts of the puzzle here when handicapping.
Absolutely. And this is art. It's not science. Okay. It's
right.
art.
And there's always several factors. I've always told people I can make an argument for both teams. I could come on here and tell you a reason to play both teams in every game today, as most of you guys could probably do. You just have to outweigh the positives and negatives on every matchup. I'll tell you what, let's get to some of these night games. That game, by the way, goes in about 30 minutes. Once again, the consensus here is nobody really has a play on this game, I believe, but none of us want anything to do with the Clippers at -8.5. So
Phoenix or pass.
Suns are pass. Exactly right. WagerTalk.com is where you can get the best bets for all these guys, including myself. I have a rare 5%er going tonight at WagerTalk.com. Rob Vina, who normally joins us, is the $2 featured Tuesday handicapper. Get Rob's best bets for $2 right now on Tuesday. And if you get Rob's $2 best bet, you get a promo code to get my 5% best bet in the NBA at a discounted price. And week 6-9 gets anybody on WagerTalk.com for that matter, or SportsMemo.com. WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com. An entire 7-day package, normally $119, is just $69 with week 6-9 for the promo code. And you're getting that special here on the show. That's not available anywhere else. You have to be watching these shows on Wager Talk TV. Guys, we got about 10 minutes or so we'll kind of go rapid fire through these games tonight. Let's start with the first game, an early evening game at 6 p.m. Eastern. Just note, there's normally 6:30 games. We have a 6 and a 6:30 game Eastern time tonight. Ski, Orlando Magic -1.5 to 2-point favorite over the Pacers. Total 225.5. What do you think?
Well, I was kind of expecting maybe Brogdon to sit, but I don't see him being out in this game. It says that he's still in the lineup. Even with that said, well, if Brogdon's in, it kind of changed it up. I like Indiana. I wanted to come in betting the Magic, but the one thing I will say that I don't want to step in front of, Magic have went over 14 straight games. I don't want to step in front of that train. I probably would be betting over or passing on this one.
Yeah, of course, the Magic, the only team that's technically home, even though they're in the bubble, still playing all these games in Orlando. They're pretty much locked into the 7 or 8. Well, they are locked into either the 7 or 8. They're half a game ahead of the Nets right now for the 7 spot. They're 6 or 8 games behind the Sixers for the 6th spot. So, Tony, this is a situation. Teddy probably doesn't agree with us, but I'll throw it to you first. The Magic can avoid the Bucks by finishing 7th instead of 8th. If I'm the Magic's coach, that means something to me. I'll throw it to you first, Tony. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm on Orlando here. I'm not on it, but if I'm playing this game, I'm on Orlando. We talked a little bit about Indiana and some of the injuries they had. Brogdon didn't play. I don't trust Indiana as far as I can throw them, and I can't throw them very far. So I trust what I've seen Orlando do, and they're a good matchup against this team that can defend just like Indiana can. But I think they have. I just trust them, and much like Teddy said, it's not science. Some of it's gut feel, and it's not gas. I like Orlando.
Yeah, Teddy, it looks to me like the odds makers have priced in the fact that this game means more to Orlando. Indiana was a team just coming into the entire bubble season I was concerned about weeks ago for their motivation. And, what are your thoughts? I know you're not looking at motivation maybe as much as Tony and I are, but what are your thoughts on this one?
So I'm involved on the side on this game. You can get it right now, again, at SportsMemo or WagerTalk.com. But please don't buy any plays.
No single plays, buy packages, you're saying.
Yeah.
Just buy a year.
For $69, why would you buy my play for $25?
You're exactly right. I mean, money management again, right? More in your bankroll when you're saving on the initial costs. Yeah. What is it? Week 6-9, right? Week 6-9.
Sure. Week 6-9. And look, and all of us, we're putting the work in. We're all hungry. I would expect winning results, not just from me, but from the vast majority of cappers at Wager Talk or Sports Memo. So don't buy my play. But I'm involved in this game from a side, so I'm not going to talk too much about the side. From a total standpoint, we have to talk about this overrun for Orlando that nobody noticed until yesterday, and today everybody's talking about. Or 2 days ago when they went over the 13th straight time, it was like, wow, the Magic ran an overrun. And this has been since the All-Star break. If you look at Orlando's numbers offensively since the break, you're going to get a very different opinion of the Orlando Magic compared to their season-long numbers. They're not a team I'm looking to play under the total. And Indiana, certainly with T.J. Warren on a monster roll, their offensive flow has been good in their first couple of games back. Something to do perhaps with some of their opponents that they played, but nonetheless, the flow has been there for Indiana. If I'm playing a total here, I'm certainly not going to buck the trend and start playing the Magic under.
Yeah, and it's a great point. Yeah, I mean, Ski brought that up. It really is an amazing stat to look at when you dig through the numbers. Of course, everything kind of changes now with the restart in the bubble, I guess. Ski, let's look at this next game here we got tonight. What are your thoughts on the 6:30 Eastern? Now, we normally have one 6:30 Eastern game. As I mentioned, that Orlando-Indiana game at 6 Eastern. This one is at 6:30 Eastern. Boston Celtics currently a 3-point favorite against the Miami Heat, total 219.5. What do you think, Ski?
Well, Gordon Hayward played a pretty good game last game, right? And I think so. And that's pretty much how I handicap the Boston Celtics. When Gordon Hayward is playing well, the Celtics play well, and they win and cover numbers. When he's not, when it's just Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or Kemba, they sometimes don't get it done or don't cover the number. So I like the way he's playing. Celtics 18-11 versus 55% win teams or greater. Miami, when they're a dog, I think they've only covered one time out of the last 8, maybe, and they're 3-7-1 on the second of a back-to-back. So I would be fading Miami, and I'll be playing on Boston.
Yeah, and one thing that jumps out at me about Boston, of course, it hit me personally on Sunday. I had a 3-0 restart in the NBA, and then I had the Celtics up by 19 at halftime as a 4.5 point favorite. They win by exactly 4. I mentioned it on the show yesterday. They've actually gotten a push now in both games this season. They were a 7-point dog against Milwaukee and a 7-point loss, 4-point favorite and a 4-point win against Portland. So, Tony, odds makers have been spot on with the Celtics so far. What are your thoughts on this one?
I like the Celtics. Miami's not a horrible matchup for and what they bring to the floor for the Celtics. I think there's some poor matchups, some matchups that Boston are a significant disadvantage. But there's a lot of things I trust about Boston in this point in time, and one of them is Brad. I like the coach. The coach does a good job despite his personnel, and in this case, it's 3 points to pick him. I will take Boston in a neutral court.
Yeah, and Teddy, what are your thoughts on this one? Celtics Heat. Celtics about a 3-point favorite right now.
It's a bet on versus bet on for me. It's not a game I'm going to get involved with because of that. You know, Boston leading by 19.5, leading by 22 in the second half, blowing the entirety of that lead, and then very fortuitously for the Celtics backers, stealing a push at the end where they didn't deserve a push even in that.
Yeah.
Against Portland when they ended up to turn it over. Though that's kind of what happened with Miami yesterday against Toronto.
Yeah.
Where they turned it over on their last 2 possessions, and Toronto stole a cover in a game that they probably didn't deserve to do so. I'm not interested in betting against the Heat off a loss. You know, I like the mentality of that Miami squad. I really do. I don't want to bet against the Celtics off a blown 20-point lead. Bet on versus bet on, easy pass. No opinion on the total.
You know, one thing I'll say from a standings perspective, if, people want to avoid the 4th seed, Boston right now 3.5 games up on Miami for the 3rd seed versus the 4th seed. So if the Celtics win this one, they pretty much can almost kind of start locking themselves into a 2 or 3 seed, which, once again, if you want to avoid the Bucks, that might mean something. By the way, speaking of the Bucks, maybe you don't want to avoid them. They're losing outright still to the Nets, 103-98 with 7.5 minutes to go in that game. They were a 19-point underdog. Brooklyn Nets winning outright. Sacramento's now up by only 1 near halftime against Dallas. They were a 6-point dog. Moneyline parlay on those two, as Teddy said, would have paid 47-1. So just going to keep an eye on that out of pure curiosity. Hope somebody out there maybe had. Hey, viewers, if you had a Moneyline parlay at 47-1, chime in, let us know. We've got a couple hundred viewers right now, so I say odds are probably nobody had that, but you never know. Let's look at the final game, guys. We've got a few minutes left. Once again, WagerTalk.com. All of our best bets for all of us, including Rob Vina, who couldn't join us today. Rob is the $2 Tuesday featured capper at WagerTalk.com. It's quite simple. You get Rob's best bet for $2, and you also get a special discount code for my rare 5% best bet in the NBA tonight. So $2 Tuesday for Rob Vino. I've got a strong 5%er going, and as Teddy said, you really should just get a week package for any and all of us. Week 6-9. Week 6-9 is the promo code, which gets you a full 7 days all sports for just $69. It's normally $119. Sportsmemo.com or WagerTalk.com, and you can use it for multiple cappers. You can get everybody on the board and make some serious money over the next 7 days for just $69. All sports. Week 6-9. Let's look at this final game, guys, as we wrap things up. Ski, I'll throw it to you first. We've got the Lakers and we've got the Jazz. I'm sorry, that was last night. What am I talking about? I've got my Tuesday. I knew that didn't sound right because I already know who won that game.
I predict that the Lakers will win by 8 and it'll sneak over the total.
God, I wish I could play that game right now. That's like the dream I have every year. It's like the Back to the Future dream where you get the sports almanac and you get to jump in the car.
All I want is tomorrow scores one day ahead of time.
No joke. Or even just to go
One
play
day.
the stock exchange for a couple of days back in the early to mid 80s or something and just buy everything. But yeah, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm getting dizzy here at the end of the show. No, it's Houston 3.5 to 4. Mostly a 4-point favorite now. The Rockets against the Blazers. And the over-under on that one is 244.5. Highest total we've seen so far in the restart by far. Not even close. Ski, what do you think? 244.5. Any interest there? Or how about your Rockets? 3.5, 4-point favorite. We've talked a lot about them here recently. They're a fun team to watch. What are your thoughts on Houston and Portland?
Did you say my Rockets?
No, I was messing with you. I know you're a Laker guy.
If there's one team I probably do not like, well, number one is Boston Celtics. Number two is probably.
I figured they were
Rockets.
top three,
but,
so that's why I had to throw that out there.
When I look at this total though, 244.5, as you said, pretty high. Rockets want to run. I think Blazers, they'll be pretty comfortable slowing it down and going like taking their man one-on-one, taking turns, Lillard, McCollum, or even dumping it down to Nurkic and taking some of the time off the clock. I think it's a bit high. Like, granted, both teams can score. Both teams not great on defense, but I just see more of Portland slowing it down. And I think Portland is a team that's going to be winning this game. So I will go with them to dictate the pace and go with under. And as far as winning the game, like I said, I like Portland. Dame owns Westbrook. And I think every time he just sees him on the schedule, he's going to show up. So I like Portland plus the 4 points.
Yeah, Ski, I like how you bring up the side you like affects how you look at the total, because that is something that's very important when handicapping these games is pace of play. And obviously the Rockets like to go fast. They'd like to shoot threes. But yeah, if you think Portland can kind of start dictating things, we talked about parlays earlier. You know, you could make an argument that Portland to the under, Rockets over, somewhat codependent here. Not enough maybe to have a mathematical edge, but from a handicapping perspective, it makes a little bit of sense. Tony Fenn, what are your thoughts on this game? We got Rockets and Blazers as the nightcap on TNT.
Well, I thought the time off or the vacation that we and the basketball, all the professional North American specialists had, really gave Portland an advantage in many matchups because they got Collins back, they got the bigs back, so that the perimeter defenders could spend more time not worrying about ducking down in the paint or slapping or helping the bigs. And in this situation, Houston is not scored the majority of their points in the paint. They're taking more threes than they're taking twos in a game. And it all comes down to Harden's going to get his. I think it comes down to who wins this game is how much support will Harden get from his other cast of characters. Will Westbrook have a good game? Can Portland's going to get their points, guys? It's got to be more than Harden for them to beat Portland. So, do they hit if they hit their threes, Houston wins. If they don't, I like Portland. I can't pick a side. So obviously, did I spell it out properly? I mean, I don't think we're going to see Harden taking the ball to the rim very much.
Teddy, the Rockets are coming off a big win in their last game against the Bucks, an outright 5-point dog win on Sunday. I know we talk about motivation. I think maybe Tony and I use it a little bit more than you do in these games, but do you take anything away from that? And how do you handicap Houston in general going forward? They rely so heavily on the three.
So the Rockets were out-rebounded by 29 in that game. Right. They were down by 8 with 3 to go.
And won.
And they won and covered with room to spare.
Yep.
How'd they do it? Real simple. The Rockets did two things as well as I've ever seen them do those two things. And they did the same thing in the game against the Celtics or the Rockets in the game in the opener against Dallas. They played crunch time defense.
I knew you were going to say that.
They did. Good crunch time defense. And we talk about Harden.
Yeah.
6 different Rockets hit at least 3 3-pointers. Only an 8-man rotation right now. 6 of those guys hit at least 3 threes.
He got some support.
All right. Yeah. So when you're getting the support,
yes,
when the Rockets are playing team defense and getting team contributions on offense, they're going to beat anybody. Can they do it 2 games in a row? I wouldn't count on it. Can they do it 3 games in a row? I definitely wouldn't count on it.
Playing defense 2 games in a row? Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, what's funny to me is, we missed the NCAA tournament this year.
Well, I'm sorry, Tony. Could I finish my thought? Tony keeps interrupting me. It's making me crazy.
He's agreeing with you. He's cheering you on.
And just say I agree with you, Teddy. But when you're talking over me, I'm listening for the producer in my ear, Tony. And I'm sorry, I'm so used to doing that. It's difficult for me. For the last thing I want to say on this game, and of course, I have a free play up on Portland, and you can read the full analysis right now at SportsMemo or WagerTalk.com. But there was talk earlier about there being some correlation between Blazers and under/Rockets and over. If you've watched Portland play the first two games back, there is no correlation there. The Rockets are playing every bit as fast as the Blazers are playing every bit as fast as the Rockets are, and I don't think that Portland has any interest right now in looking for a half-court game. They're looking to run and gun just as much as Houston is.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the highest total we've seen right now, 244.5. The team that's soared over that, like you said, is Portland. They put up 275 against Memphis. They put up 252 against Boston. So no question, they've had no problem playing fast in their first two restart games. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. What I was going to say, Teddy, was, we lost the NCAA tournament this year, but I almost feel like we're getting it here with all these daytime games, everyone playing. But the Rockets are the typical college basketball team. Handicapping the NCAA now is about, can you predict who's going to be hot or cold from three in that one tournament game? And it's so difficult. I mean, when you look at the Rockets, Teddy, quickly, is there any way you can predict that? Or like you said, there's just no way to know?
The Rockets' A game is championship level. Okay. The A game doesn't show up every day. They've looked very good their first two back. Maybe we have a buy sign on Houston right now.
Good game to watch tonight. By the way, viewers, it is on TNT, not ESPN, for the 9:30 Eastern game tonight on TNT, the other basketball network. Speaking of a network you all need to watch as we wrap this up, WagerTalk TV each and every day, several live shows all afternoon. And then, of course, they are archived, so you can watch them at any time at your leisure. I'll be back tomorrow with the next show, actually, at 1 p.m. Eastern Wednesday, Life in the Fast Lane, the NASCAR show. Been doing some great predictions there with Andy Lang and Rocky Atkinson. First pitch at 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Wednesday with Andrew McGinnis. And then we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday with NBA Tip-Off. Each and every weekday, we are here at 3 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on WagerTalk TV. And a final reminder, $2 Tuesday for Rob Vino. I've got a strong 5%er included. You get a code in that pick. And as Teddy said, week 6-9 gets everyone's best bets. A 7-day package from any capper. You can choose multiple cappers. Full 7 days for just $69 at sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com. Use promo code WEEK69, WEEK 69. Week 6-9 gets you everything. Guys, great show. We'll be back tomorrow on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern with NBA Tip-Off. Thank you.